First of all, welcome to the channel and thank you for stopping by. Welcome to Chilly Willy Weekend, and it is indeed chilly here in Troy, North Carolina. I woke up, took a look at the thermometer in the van. It was 26 degrees. I checked the temperature outside. It was 15 degrees. So it is chilly indeed. I doubt even a penguin would enjoy this morning. That said, it is a beautiful morning. It's supposed to be 49 degrees, which will be great for winter riding. Not that long from now, maybe 3 hours. Breakfast is in about an hour. The folks that have campers have their generators running. You probably can't see it out there, but we have a guy with a teepee and a wood stove going. And goodness help the people way back there in the woods who are in tents. We'll take a quick look around here. It is a fantastic turnout. They sold out all 100 spots they were planning. Of course, not everyone showed once the weather went from 40 degrees overnight down to 15, but still an absolutely amazing turnout of die-hard adventure riders. Looking forward to riding with some of them today. This guy pulled in yesterday a couple of hours after me. I was talking to Steve and I immediately ignored Steve to take a look at this bike. This is the first time I've seen one of these actually in person. Oh, that is a nice looking motorcycle. The Kove 450. That bike looks fantastic. I wonder if they all come with a generator. That would be a real bonus for someone who's going to be out here in the winter. All right, I'm here with Matt from TS Moto Adventures. Matt is much more hardcore than I am. He is actually here in a pop-up, not lying on the ground, but not quite as comfortable and taking it easy as I am in the van. But we're taking a walk before breakfast to take a look at the true die-hard bearded grump style campers. The people that spent last night in no higher than 15 degrees out here in their tents. Are you glad you're not in a tent, Matt?
I mean, I'm basically in a tent, but...
You're not on the ground.
I'm not on the ground,
Not on the ground, yes. A pop-up is basically a tent. You're absolutely right. But, oh, these guys are on 15-degree cold earth.
Do not envy them.
Oh, I don't either. Now, Duke did provide in the building behind us heat all night long. Though honestly, I have to say that if I was this far out in a tent freezing my Chilly Willy, I don't know that I'd want to get out and run up there to get hot. And if I did, I would sleep on one of those tables. Oh, man. I just have to say, it is hardcore. And these guys are all a step above. These guys are all Greg from the Bearded Grump and Timmy from the Bearded Grump hard. Each one of these guys saw the weather and they said, I'm going anyway. I'm going because I want to moto camp in December. Me, when I saw the weather, I said, I want to bring my moto to camp on the back of my van. I don't want to moto camp. I am definitely not as hardcore as any of these men out here. Oh, I recognize this prima donna. This is a pavement princess. This is a garage-kept girl. Doc, buddy, it was great to see you last night, but I don't see any dirt on this bike. You got to take care of that today. This is Doc 650's absolutely gorgeous V-Strom 1050. Custom plate and all. Hopefully Doc is not sleeping. Hopefully he's in there getting himself some coffee because it is cold, even from someone from the area.
Now that is a tent.
That is a bit palatial. Take a look at that. I feel badly. We met this nice gentleman last night. He was chatting with Doc about the 1050 life. He did not mention that he had an extremely large tent, but I see no heat coming off it, so I don't think this is one of the guys that brought a heat source with him.
Just compensating.
He's just compensating. All right. Why aren't you compensating with a buddy heater in there? Oh, Doc, man, look at this bike. This bike has seen a few things and had a good time. You have got to warm your bike up and get it out on some trails. The 1050 looks even better once it's been trail ridden. So we have a person in a Class A. We have a person in a fifth wheel. We have a host of travel trailers. We have a couple of van guys like myself. And then, of course, we have all of the tent guys. But this is the only one I've seen, the only guy camping like this. Look at that. Now that's how I would have to try hammock camping. Well, Matt and I spent the day riding, and then we spent the day eating free food after we paid for lunch, which wasn't bright, but damn, that free food from Xavier was fantastic. I didn't even want to pick the camera back up. I'm full, I'm stuffed with good food, I'm tired from riding, it's starting to get really cold, everybody's got their godforsaken generators on. My bike is loaded, Matt's bike is loaded. I would just like to say, next September and October, take a look. You should find tickets for Chilly Willy Weekend. If you don't find them, message Motocamp Nerd, get your tickets, come to North Carolina. It probably won't be this cold, and even this cold, we rode over 100 miles today. Did you survive, Matt? You looked fine.
Yeah, it was fun. It was worth it.
It was fun. It was worth it. Chilly Willy Weekend. Ben, thank you. Duke, absolutely thank you for all the work you did. I'm glad you got sponsors to help you. You guys did great. We had a wonderful time. Can't wait for more free food in about an hour. All right, if you stuck around, I appreciate it, and take care. I did not have my helmet on when I was presented with the unexpected opportunity to ride the Kove 450. You'll have to excuse me, it is raining and cold here in New York, which makes sense as I am talking about a ride from the Chilly Willy Weekend, which was absolutely chilly. That said, I was able to ride the Kove 450 in approximately 24 degrees, according to my van, and it was an awesome and honestly scary experience. My opportunity to ride the Kove was on a non-street model, which had been legally put on the street in North Carolina somehow, and it had been lowered. And honestly, my first impression of the Kove 450 was, if it was not lowered, there's simply no way I would want to ride it. With it lowered, I was still on the very, very tips of my toes, just barely touching. And I know that it's a rally bike. It is absolutely not made for me. It is absolutely not made for the inseam or height challenged people. So if you're thinking, hey, this old dude who's not particularly tall can ride a Kove, only if it's lowered, and even then, only barely. When it came time to stop the bike and take a look, I had to do the shift quite a bit to enable me to stand on the bike and not just fall right over. That said, despite it being obscenely tall, it's insane. Cancel. That said, while it is tall, it is incredibly helped out by the fact that it is light. I don't know the exact weight of the bike. The owner told me something like 365 with fuel. I will say that it felt as light as my 315-pound Honda. I didn't notice any extra weight whatsoever. Now, what I did notice about the Kove, though, was it's a beast. He said it's about 50 horsepower, and I totally believe it, because when you turn the throttle, it just goes. If you've ever seen a horse run away from the rider, and you'll see this human running as fast as they can, and the horse just disappears like the Flash. That's how I felt when I twisted the throttle. I was on my two toes, I put one foot up, and I just twisted the throttle, and everything disappeared as I passed all of the vehicles and all of the people out into a field. I felt throttles that are what people describe as twitchy. I do understand Euro 5 has made it so that you pretty much need to dump fuel into the bikes because at idle they use none whatsoever. With the Kove, regardless of where I had the throttle, it just jumped in power. So when I was stopped and I moved it back 2 millimeters, I was doing 35 miles an hour flying through the field without any expectation of doing so. And when I was accustomed to doing 30, 35 miles an hour cruising, and I moved it back another couple of millimeters, I was doing 50 miles an hour. Just, it felt instantaneously. Obviously it's not, but the feeling of power from the Kove was absolutely insane. Now, if you are Kyle Bradshaw or you are Greg Simpson, I think they made this bike for you because it is an animal. It is a monster. It just has no weight and just delivers you power. The front wheel comes up every single time I twisted that throttle. I could feel the bike lifting. And I was putting myself up there to make sure I didn't go off the bike or loop it. But yes, if you are the average American adventure rider, you've seen more years than you will see, your hair is gray or gone, and you are not lifting weights on a regular basis, I cannot even imagine riding this bike on hard terrain. Not that the bike would be difficult to muscle through hard terrain, the exact opposite. I think that riding this bike, I would kill myself because I would glide and jump and run over terrain I have no business being on because the bike is just a lightweight powerhouse and bad things would happen. However, if you are that alpha rider or you are a young guy looking for the most amazing power and the light bike that's not a KTM 500, this is it. In fact, I'd say this lifts and accelerates much faster than the 3 KTM 500s I've been on, and it made the KTM 350 and every other dual sport I've ever been on feel like dogs. It was just shocking. When I got on my bike with its 43 horsepower, so we're talking 7 horsepower difference, afterwards, I was wondering where the heck are all my horses, because this bike feels to be 1/3 as peppy as the Kove 450 does. Moving on briefly away from what everyone cares about, which is how powerful and awesome it is, I have to say that build quality shocked me. Its build quality was fantastic, superior to my KTM 790 Adventure R. Everything fit perfectly. Every single bolt, every single seam. Someone paid attention when designing this bike, and someone absolutely paid attention when assembling this bike. It was tight and clean, like BMW clean. It was amazing. To say that this was a Chinese bike shocks me. I think we need to start thinking that perhaps the Chinese are making some of the best made bikes today. Now, I don't know if the engine is going to last. I have a lot of confidence in the electronics. The Chinese have been doing that for a very long time. But just the build quality, how this bike is put together, was absolutely amazing. I don't feel that anyone will drop $10,000 on this bike and say to themselves, you know, I'm not sure it's worth it. It is quite a machine. Not a machine for me. I'd argue it's not a machine for very many people in my age group at all. But if you are that guy, you look at Kyle Bradshaw riding and you go, that's nothing. You look at Greg for the Bearded Grump and go, that's just how I ride. You owe it to yourself to go try out that Kove 450 because it is, in my experience, and I've ridden a lot of bikes, wow, it's something unique. And I do recommend you try to ride one. I don't think I'd recommend many people buy it, but I'd absolutely recommend you try it. All right, sorry I put this at the end, but at the event, it was just hectic. Fun, hectic, doing so many things, talking to so many people. I stopped counting I talked to over 50 people. Out of 72, I talked to 50 of them. It was an amazing time. I wish I'd ridden more bikes. I did ride a couple of others, but most of them were bikes I've already ridden. So, all right, if you stuck around, I appreciate it. Take care. Go find a Kove 450.